This seventh insurrection hearing covered lots of ground. In MSNBC primetime coverage last night, Rachel was reporting about how it did sprawl out more than previous hearings. Maybe the committee's throwing in some certain items that don't always fit into one storyline. And that brings us to a breakdown of the unhinged White House meeting on December 18th, because it was something of a last stand for efforts to steal the election, which failed and led to Trump's decision to organize the rally on the 6th. But that meeting has gotten less attention than things that were carried out, like the march to the Capitol, where the violent and criminal storming occurred. This was the meeting that was so shady. Even in the Trump White House, it was off the books, which may go to Trump's intent. A meeting with such controversial figures, they weren't allowed to even be at the White House, like Sidney Powell, convict Michael Flynn, and a corporate executive. It was a meeting with the most extreme version of a coup, a plan to order the military to abuse its power at the Department of Defense to help Trump steal the election. Now, a draft of that plan was even written down, which is why lawyers ranging from the White House counsel to Rudy Giuliani warned Trump, don't try to get the Secretary of Defense to do this. It won't work, and it's a crime. Now, we know this was too much for even Giuliani, so we have some idea why there was so much shouting in those different rooms that they moved around to about who was tough or a coward or worse, and how it lasted over 5 hours. They were fighting over whether to involve the military. Now, how did these people even get into the White House without an appointment or clearance? It's not like skipping the line at the DMV. It's something that actually mystified this probe's latest star witness, Trump White House counsel Cipollone, at the time.
You did get to see the president without an appointment.
We did.
I didn't understand how they had gotten in. The first thing I did, I walked in, I looked at him, and I said, "Who are you?"
He didn't get how they were in that meeting. Now, the hearing didn't delve into that part much further yesterday, but we actually do know how they got in. And the link may be telling. The aide to a Trump advisor who was secretly pushing a different plan, what he called a sweep or a coup for January 6th, Peter Navarro, had his own staffer help. And that staffer later admitted sneaking Flynn and Powell in that night, which was such a breach, even in the lawless Trump White House, that Chief of Staff Meadows revoked that staffer's ability to ever let anyone else into the White House again.
I waved in General Flynn and Sidney Powell on the 18th, on the Friday night of the 18th, for which Mark Meadows' office revoked my guest privileges. I could no longer get people into the complex after that.
Yeah, you can't get people into the complex after you sneak them in, sneaking anyone in, let alone those kind of coup plotters. So, one, Meadows had clearly lost some control. Two, notice this as we pull on the threads. The same guy plotting a January 6th sweep or coup with Bannon had an aide helping out here, which makes you wonder if that aide just went rogue or was acting with the support of his boss, Navarro, at the time. Now, back before this was in any public hearing, we did press Mr. Navarro about this. And notice this. The normally loud Trump warrior suddenly went pretty quiet, saying he had no comment or knowledge about all of that. Was it wrong for your aide to facilitate that meeting, and was that plan to involve the military bad?
I have no comment on that. I had no knowledge of that. He was working off the reservation. It was not at my direction. And
was it a bad idea or wrong to pursue the military to seize American voting machines?
That I would like to get more to the bottom of. That's not something that I would have put forward by any stretch of the imagination.
That, even for him, is not something by any stretch of the imagination he wants a part of. Again, this speaks to what Mr. Burke raised earlier in the program. Some of this stuff was still too far for people who still wanted to steal the election. But here's the link. It was that night when Donald Trump dropped the military plan after the hours of fighting that he first announced the rally and what would be the secret march on January 6th for the first time. And he began that now infamous tweet by citing Navarro, whose aide was linked in the meeting I just told you about. Look at it here. Quote, Peter Navarro released his 36-page report, which could swing it for Trump. This is the first tweet that then announces the, quote, big protest on January 6th that will be wild. This is the link. Now, you need more evidence if you were taking this to court. But what you have here is the dropping of the military plan that was too far even for them, and in the same night, the same hours away, seizing on the Navarro plan, which was ultimately to obstruct or overthrow the lawful counting on the 6th, which gives context to what Trump walked away from, which was detailed yesterday.
People shouting at each other, hurling insults at each other.
And some comment about like Nest thermostats being hooked up to the internet when I had it with him. So I yelled back. Either come over or sit your effing ass back down.
Oh, yeah. It was not a casual meeting.
And we were pushing back and we were asking one simple question. Where is the evidence?
I stayed in the cabinet room, which is kind of cool. I really like that. All by myself.
By the end, Trump was all by himself with too many advisors saying, there's no evidence, this won't work, you can't go to the military. And that night he goes, all right, take this Navarro thing off the shelf, let's focus on the 6th.